when the Raptors traded for Brandon Ingram, there wasn't like widespread enthusiasm through the Raptors fan base. I was really excited. I've always rated Brandon Ingram since he went to the New Orleans Pelicans. I've been a big fan of his game since 2019, and here he was coming to the Raptors for a first-round pick via the Indiana Pacers, which wasn't expected to be a great pick. Now it will be because how bad the Pacers are because of the Tyrese Halliburton injury and whatnot, but whatever. First-round pick and salary dump to get Brandon Ingram. And then we got him on a contract for less than the max. I was ecstatic. I was really excited going to season. But again, the Raptors fan base didn't share that optimism when we traded for him, and the NBA media in general were not as confident in the contract as I was. But Brandon Ingram has quietly been fantastic this season and is really going under the radar in the NBA. And I would like to find out why. So for starters, here is the contract Brandon Ingram is on. This season, he's making $38 million. Next season, he's making $40 million. And the season after that, he's a player option worth $41.9. Now, I wasn't thrilled about the term. 2 years plus 1 on a player option. I kind of wanted to get Brandon Ingram for 4 years, get him through his prime. But maybe there was like doubts about the injury. Maybe Brandon Ingram didn't want to lock in a long-term deal that wasn't a max contract. So he feels he can play up to a max contract. I'm not sure. But $40 million per year for Brandon Ingram felt pretty damn good to me. Like, it felt like we were we got him less than the max. I was pretty happy about that, but I feel like I got it wrong when even Brandon Ingram's own agency, the title's kind of cut off here, but Brandon Ingram's own agency said nobody else would have given him that deal. Rich Paul admits that the Raptors gave Brandon Ingram a deal he wouldn't get elsewhere. He says that Ingram wouldn't have landed $120 million in free agency, suggesting the Toronto Raptors may have overpaid to keep the forward. That's coming from this guy's own agency. His own agency basically calls him overpaid. That's how overlooked Brandon Ingram was coming into the season, which was just sickening. And we did have wonders. Like, you saw for a while. He was dealing with an ankle sprain, perhaps the worst ankle sprain of all time, the amount of time that he was missing as the Raptors were tanking near the end of the season, but he came in well rested. I thought maybe there'd be some time where he needed to get up to speed, but there hasn't been. He's been absolutely lethal in mid-range. Like, I know he's a mid-range assassin, but he's been even more lethal from mid-range than maybe some other years, and he has seriously been contributing to winning, even like chipping in with some defensive plays as well for this Raptors team. And overall on the season, he's averaging 20.5 points per game, 49.2% shooting from the field. The only concern is the three ball, which has just not been falling lately. As he was 0-6 in that game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's down to 26%, but he's a career 36% three-point shooter. I feel like he's going to be able to figure that out at some point, especially because the mid-range has been working so well for him. He's shooting 90% from the line to go with it, up to 4.3 free throw attempts when in a little bit less usage. I think that's fine compared to what he was doing last season. And his true shooting percentage this season, despite where his three ball is this season, is still 58.2, which is great. And if he can get the three ball going, we can even get that up to like 60 with the way he's been playing right now. And it's just, again, it's just confusing because these are terrific numbers that I think a lot of teams would be seriously happy with seeing of anybody. But Brandon Ingram, for a while, it feels like has kind of gone under the radar. And Raptors, I think, are starting to notice, and even his teammates are starting to notice. In that recent game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, Ingram had some big shots. Like, they were guarding him aggressively with guys like DeAndre Hunter, and he was still able to do his work in mid-range and get buckets, because like that's what you traded for. The Raptors for so long have longed for this sort of bucket getter archetype, a guy who can get his own shot up, especially in like tough situations this season where the offense has gone a little bit cold. They've been able to go to Brandon Ingram to get them a big bucket. And there was a pocket where he was just getting some tough shots over DeAndre Hunter to fall. In the end, he was 5 of 15, like I said. He was 0-6 from 3, like I said. still had 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and still was +5 in his minutes. It felt a little bit more impressive than the 5 of 15 that it was. But it's 5 of 15, only 11 points. One of his worst performances of the season, because he's been good and he's been putting up some really big numbers. But even still, there was a lot of credit that was given to him by fellow Raptors teammates, specifically some really good praise came from Scotty Barnes, who was just sensational in this game against the Cavaliers. Let's listen in to specifically what Barnes had to say.
Have you found that Brandon's presence, especially like taking so much of like the half-court offense load, not that you're still not a big part of that, but it allows you to play that full-court game and put even more of your energy into playing that?
For sure. He draws so much attention. They were sticking more close to him today, denying him, trying to be super aggressive, playing on his top side. You just got to find ways to help him out, but he's also drawing the defender out of the play. So the lanes are more open. There's less help being able to make more kickouts. He's demanding attention.
So what's interesting about what Barnes is saying here, he's acknowledging that there's additional space being provided because Brandon Ingram is on the floor and they're sticking close to him. And it reminds me a little bit of the era where we had Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes playing together, where so many people just, because on paper it didn't seem like a great fit, so many people just had it in their mind that it wasn't going to work and it wasn't a great fit. But if you actually looked at the games, watched the games, you saw Scotty Barnes played better with Pascal Siakam because there was somebody else taking the focus away from him. Last year, we didn't see Scotty Barnes at his best. Could it be because there wasn't that player kind of on his tier of talent that was taking that focus of the defense away from him? Now we see Brandon playing with him. We're getting Scotty Barnes at his best at the moment this season. This has been the best version of Scotty Barnes in his NBA career so far, despite being a small sample size. So all the questions kind of about the fit between those two, for me, it always seemed to me like this is going to help out Scotty Barnes, going to give him more space, less defensive attention, and that should allow Scotty Barnes to step up. So far, we've seen evidence of that, and we have seen that as well. But it's not just Scotty Barnes noticing that. It's also players like Jamal Shed who have noticed that as well. Let's listen into what Jamal Shed had to say about Brandon Ingram after that game against the Cavaliers.
You saw him, the way he played tonight. He was affected the game at every level. What can you describe what it's like seeing out there?
It's awesome because the gravity of Bi. Half of our offense was trying to get ran through him, and Cleveland was doing a good job of trying to take away Bi. But he's so unselfish, and he was telling everybody hey, they're coming and trying to do this to me. Look for Scotty on this. Look for this. Everybody's so unselfish. We're really egoless, and I think that
egoless, not the caption. Sorry, you can't see the caption. Say egoless.
That goes a long way, especially when Scotty's having a game like that, just trying to get the ball back to him in spots that he can help us win.
You saw him, the way he played.
Really good account I like to follow to get clips like this is Omer Osman, who you can check out on Twitter as well. Posted both of these clips that I looked at for the sake of the stream today, and it's just really good content and bringing up some really valid points that come out of these press conferences, just like what we've seen here. So even with a game where Brandon puts up 11 points, he's 5 of 15, multiple players acknowledge how much of an impact he had towards them winning and acknowledgement of how unselfish Brandon Ingram has been, knowing that they're all over me, look for other guys here because they're taking me away. This is going to let somebody else have a big game, and that player, of course, as we saw, was Scotty Barnes. So Ingram has been branded as maybe a player who can't drive winning, maybe a player at time who's not a good playmaker, who can be a bit selfish in getting his shots up. And all the evidence we've seen so far with the Raptors is that that is not the case at all. And I'm just hoping, as he continues to go under the radar, this is seriously what people are not noticing about him, how effective he's been. And I just really hope he starts to get his praise from the rest of the NBA because, Scotty Barnes is getting a lot of praise. RJ Barrett's getting a lot of praise for sure, and deservedly so. But around the NBA, I think Brandon Ingram deserves some props as well because what a pickup he's been for the Raptors at the moment as they look to really make a playoff push this season.